Let's look at the sentences from chapter 27. Practice and review. Quisque cupit quam pulcherrima atque utilissima dona dare. Quisque, let's just find the verb. Each desires. Who desires? Each. Each desires what? To give. This is your complementary infinitive. To give what? Gifts. What kind of gifts? Quam pulcherrima ac utilissima. We've got two things. Quam plus the superlative means as blank as possible, so as beautiful and useful as possible. But notice this erema, you want it to be issimus or issima, but because the nominative singular masculine ends in an R, it's going to be pulcherrima. We double that R. It's pulcherrima. Et utilissima. Utilissima is regular. Each desires to give gifts as beautiful and useful as possible. Number 2. Quidem turpes habent plurima, sed etiam plura petunt. Certain men, certain shameful men, this is your certain shameful men, they have what? They have plurima, very many things. This is your substantive use of the adjective. The substantive use of the adjective still holds true even in the comparative and the superlative degree. You had very many things, but they seek petunt etiam plura, even more. So, certain shameful men have very many things, but seek even more. 3. Ille orator ab tyranno superbissimo expulsus ducem iucundiorem et leges aequiores de hinc quae sivit. That orator, the orator, we have a participle phrase, having been expulsed. Your perfect passive participle, not used in the ablative absolute because here it modifies the orator, which is nominative singular masculine. That orator, having been expulsed by the very proud, the superlative degree of the adjective, ablative singular masculine, modifying tyranno, which is used after the verb ob as the ablative of agent with the passive voice. Got it? How's that? My gosh, you've learned a lot this semester. This is awesome. That orator, having been expulsed by the very proud tyrant, what did he do? He sought, quae sivit. He sought a leader, ducem, accusative singular masculine, a ducem, a rather, a more pleasing leader, and laws. He also sought laws, accusative plural, lex lei, feminine, aequiores, and more just laws. So that speaker, having been expulsed by the very proud tyrant, sought a more pleasant leader and more just laws. De hinc, from that point. Number 4. Summum imperium optimus viris semper petendum est. The power, what kind of power? The highest power. Petendum est, must be sought. Passive periphrastic. Must be sought, and this is your dative of agent. Whoops, that's the adjective. This is the actual noun. Dative of agent with passive periphrastic. Must be sought by the best men. The highest power must always be sought by the best men. Number 5. Senex nepotibus tristibus casam patefecit, et eos trans limen invitavit. So we've got an et here, so we've got two different sentences. The old man patefecited. He opened up his house, accusative singular neuter, feminine, excuse me, to the sad grandkids. This is your dative. He opened the house, dative with a compound verb there. He opened the house to his sad grandsons, and he invited them, accusative plural masculine. This is the direct object of invitavit. Trans limen, across the threshold. There's that threshold word again that is very common in Latin. We don't use it so much. We say invited them into the house. But they say cross the threshold, visit the threshold, visit the doorway. Just interesting side note. Ostendet hostes ultimum signum luce clarissima illa nocte de disse. He showed that. All this is indirect statement. That. There was lots of luce clarissima ab hostibus illa nocte. He showed that the last sign, the sign was given. This is your perfect passive infinitive. to show, or had been given to show it's the perfect voice so that it goes before the main verb. How do we do that in English when it's in the past tense? How do we throw it further back in the past? We use the word had. He showed that the last signal had been given by means, or with a very bright light by the enemy. Just your dative ablative of personal agent, illa nocte, on that night. I admit there's a little question in this. Is the last sign the very bright light? He showed that the last signal had been given by means of a very bright light by the enemy on that night. I confess I'm unclear of the circumstances, but let's just focus on the grammar of the sentence, the superlative use of the clarissima, the passive, perfect passive voice of the use of the infinitive and indirect statement. Number 7, iste tyrannus pessimus negavit se viros liberos umquam oppressisse. That tyrant, that very bad, pessissimus tyrant, what did he do? He negavited. And then what do we have? He denied. That's just the verb of saying. And saying, in this case, saying not. We have the indirect statement. So we have the accusative subject, accusative singular masculine, that he had oppressed. This is your verb and indirect statement. Perfect active infinitive. He had ever oppressed free men. Men, what kind of men? Free men. So that very bad tyrant denied that he had ever oppressed free men. Number 8, fidelissimus servus plus canae ad mensam accipiabat quam tres peores. The slave, the servant, what kind of servant? The very faithful servant. What did he do? He received more of dinner. This is your genitive that comes with the word more, because more in this case is a noun, more of dinner at the table than the 3 worst ones. You're a better server, you get more food, I guess is the thought. But the very faithful servant received more dinner. Again, literally the grammar says more of dinner at the table, ad mensam, than the 3 worse servants. Number 9, aiunt hunc auctorem vitam humilimam hic agere. They say that, let's undo that, that this author, this is your accusative subject, accusative singular masculine, use of the accusative subject in indirect statement, was living out, they say that he is living his life. Agere vitam, this is your idiom, he's living his life. But what kind of life? A humilimam, a very humble life. Here, hic. They say that this author is living a very humble life here. Notice this is one of those, I'm underlining it not because of any use in the sentence, just to highlight it. Perhaps that's better. Notice the use of the irregular humilimam. You duplicate that L in this case. Humilis, graculus, faculus, difficulus, similis. It's one of those words that just doesn't follow the rules. You want it to be humilissimus. It isn't. It isn't. Faculus, difficulus, similis, dissimilis, graculus, and humilis. They just doubled up the L. Number 10. Cur di superi oculus a rebus humanus eo tempore averterunt? Why do the gods above, the di superi, the gods above, why do they turn their eyes, accusative plural masculine, from human things at that time? Not a lot to this one. Not a lot to this sentence. Number 11. Habesne pecuniam et res tuas prae republicae? Do you have, and we want to translate it have, but in this case it's going to be possess. Do you hold, or do you, not possess, have in the sense of hold. Do you hold money, accusative singular feminine, and your affairs, accusative plural feminine, your things, before the Republic? Are you saying your money and your things are more important than the Republic? That's what it means. Do you hold money and your affairs before the Republic? Number 12. Solem post paucas nubes My head said gracilissimas. That's not what happens. It's just funny how that happens. Okay, let me back up. I'll erase this. You'll never even notice. Solem post paucas nubes gracilimas in Kylo hodie videre possumus. We are able to see, complementary infinitive, the sun today. We are able to see today the sun. Accusative singular, solus masculine. The sun after a few very slender clouds in the sky. I think after it means beyond. Let's unpack this sentence. And I like the way that it begins with solem. The sun, beyond a few wispy clouds in the sky, we are able to see today. Gracilimas means very slender, but I think we would use wispy when it comes to clouds. We are able to see the sun beyond the few. We are able to see today the sun beyond the few wispy clouds, very wispy clouds in the sky. A little poetic. Number 13, some believe that very large cities are worse than very small ones. So some believe that, indirect statement, that these cities, this is going to be accusative plural feminine. This is going to be your present active infinitive, the verb in indirect statement. Worse than, and we can use quam or the ablative. Quam or ablative. So, some believe, certain, quidam, credunt, they believe that very large cities, maximas urbes, okay, we're going to make it accusative because it's the subject, that very large cities, esse, are worse, peores, quam, than very small cities. Or instead of quam minimas, we can say minimis. Put it in the ablative. Pick one. Pick one. I think, just pick one. I understand both are options. Quidam credunt that maximus urbes, very large cities, esse, are worse than very small ones. Number 14. In return for the 3 rather small gifts, the young man gave even more and prettier ones to his very sad mother. I don't know what's going on here. we'll just translate it. The young man, and we're going to say Adulis Gaines, gave. Okay. So the Adulis Gaines, here, this is your adu. Let's try this again. The Adulis Gaines, the young man. Okay, and then we'll put this in here in place of pro tribis for the 3 donis, the 3 gifts. Minoribus, we're going to use the comparative degree. The young man, in place of the 3 rather small gifts, what did he do? To his mother, matri, to the dative, to his mother, but she's very sad. She's not just tristis, she's tristissimi. We're going to make that dative too. To his very sad mother, what did he do? Even more. Et and beautifuler. Let me move it over here at the end. Et, because I'm running out of room. Et pol criora dated. How's that? Oh my, whoops. How's that? Oh my gosh. The young man, in place of the 3 gifts, the little rather small ones, to his mother, whose very sad mother, even more and more beautiful gifts he gave. You can throw in, if you want, It's completely unnecessary in Latin, let me be clear. But just so you can see he gave more and more beautiful gifts to his mother. Again, I feel very strongly that the Romans would not use dona again, but if it helps you see the grammar, then by all means we'll throw that in there. 15. Those very large mountains were higher than these. The mountains were higher. This modifies mountains, and it's going to be the comparative degree, and we're going to use some comparison there. Those illy mountains, montes, okay, but not just mountains, but the very large maximi montes. Those very large mountains were erant, not just altus, okay, not just or alti, but altiori, or altiores, because it's a third declension adjective. Quam, then these, quam he, or his, whichever one you choose. Those mountains, the very high ones, were higher than these. Sententiae antiquae. Trahit me noa vis, video meliora proboque, sed peora tantum facio et nescio cor. What happens? This is a little backwards. A force moves me. A new force. A new force drags me. I see, video, better things, accusative plural neuter, and I approve. Verbs. A new thing drags me, draws me. I see better things and I approve them. But I do peor, worse things. Accusative plural neuter. Notice these are the substantive use of the adjective. But I do so much, tantum, such worse things at nescio, and I don't know why. I don't know what's going on. A new force drags me. I see better things and I approve them. But I do such worse things, and I don't know why. Quidam carmina sunt bona. Certain songs are good. More songs are bad. That's a true statement, isn't it? Songs are good. Which songs? Certain songs. More songs are bad. Optimum est. It's very good. Nihil melius, nihil pulchrius, hoc vidi. I see nothing better. This is your comparative degree. And nothing more beautiful. Notice this is comparative degree. This modifies. This is accusative, singular, neuter, accusative, singular, neuter, because it modifies nihil. Modifies nihil. And this is your ablative of comparison. It is very good, and I have seen nothing better and nothing more beautiful than this. Number 4. Spero te et hunc natalem et plurimos alios quam felicissimos acturum esse. I hope that, there we go, indirect statement. I hope that this birthday and many others, as beautiful as happy as possible, that you acturum, that you will do. You know, we would say have. You have a happy birthday, but they say do a happy birthday. It's just like life. They don't say live a life, they say do a life. And it's the same acturum here. This is your future active infinitive participle. I hope that you do this birthday and many others. Okay, so this is the direct object, this birthday, and many others, also the direct object, as happily as possible. Very, very, very Latin construction. Very hard to reproduce in English. I hope that you do this birthday and many more, quam felicissimos, as happy as possible. Number 5. Quoniam concilium et ratio sunt in senibus, maiores nostri summum concilium appallaverunt senatum. Planning and reason are in old men. Since planning and reason are in old men, our graders, our elders, our graders call the high council, the highest council, the graders call the council, the highest council, the Senate. Since planning and reason are in old men, our greater men call the highest council the Senate. There you have it. Number 6. Plus operae studiique in rebus domesticus nobis nunc ponendum est, etiam quam in rebus militaribus. So, more of effort and zeal. This is your genitive after the more. More of this is to be put by us. This is your dative of agent with passive in periphrastic. More effort, more work and effort in our domestic affairs must now be placed by us. We must put more effort and zeal in domestic affairs. Even more, supply the more from above, than in military affairs. Number 7. Neque enim periculum in re publica fuit gravius umquam neque otium maius. 4. I don't know why I underlined that. Shouldn't have. This just means 4. For there was danger, or, we'll throw in the not. For there was not danger in the Republic gravius, more serious, ever, and greater leisure. Otium maius. So there's periculum gravius, very great danger, and never greater leisure. Not sure how those two go hand in hand. I can almost get there, but political philosophy is not my thing. 8. Sumus sapientores illis, quod nos naturam esse optimam ducem scimus. We are sapientiores, wiser than them, than those guys. This is ablative comparison. We are wiser than them. Quod, because we know, scimus, that nature is the best leader. How's that? Continuing on that course, natura minimum petit, naturae autem se sapiens accommodat. Nature seeks very little. Naturae autem se. So but here is your subject. It's postponed in the sentence. A wise man accommodates himself to nature. There's your dative. Moreover, a wise man accommodates himself to nature. Maximum remedium irae mora est. The greatest cure for anger is delay. Take a breath. You're angry. The greatest cure for anger is delay. Don't do anything. 11. Qui animum vincit et iram continet. Again, this one follows on the previous one. Eum cum sumis viris non comparo, sed eum esse simillimum Deo dico. Very profound. He who conquers his spirit and contains his anger, him I compare not, I do not compare with the highest men, cum sumis viris. But, Dico, I say, indirect statement, that he, because here's our indirect statement, he is very similar to God. How's that? Look at all the, this is the superlative degree here, and the irregular use of the superlative degree. Very nicely done there. He who conquers his spirit and contains his anger, him, I like the use of the eum right there. Him with the highest men, non comparo, I do not compare. But him, I just like the structure, very Latin structure, to be similar to God, Dico. I think you can get a sense, and you're at a point now here in the last chapter, in this chapter here, to really get an appreciation for the Latin word order. Number 12, Dionysius tyrannus urbis pulcherrimae erat vir summae in victu temperantia et in omnibus rebus diligentissimus et acerimus. Idem tamen erat ferox ac injustus, qua ex re, si verum dicamus, videbatur miseribus. Dionysius, a tyrant of a very beautiful city, was a man, this goes together, the summa temperentiae, and in week 2 is embedded in there, was a man of the highest temperance in victory. And in all things, he was very diligent and very keen, very sharp. We say that, it's a sharp man there, I guess. Do we say that now? Do we say he's very sharp? Maybe. Keen. The same man, nevertheless, the idem tamen, was bold and unjust, injustus. Qua ex re, for which reason, if, this throws in there, if we speak the truth, he seemed very wretched, very miserable. Go through it again. Dionysius, a tyrant of a very beautiful city, was a man of very high temperance in victory, and very diligent and very keen in all things. That same man, nevertheless, was ferocious and unjust. For which reason, if we're telling the truth, he seemed miserable. Number 13, Nisi superos vertere possum acheronta moebu. If I am not able to turn the gods above, I shall move Acheron, the Acheron River in Hades. If I can't move heaven, I'll move hell, is the argument there. If I am not able to turn the gods above, the above ones, the highest ones, I will move the Acheronta. There you go, that's it.